I want to welcome everyone to this very special broadcast podcast of the Ultimate Brand Design Channel with a very special person. And her name is Miss Pepper Miller. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we're going to chit chat for a minute.
Thank you, Charles, for having me, my fellow Lindblom Eagle. I don't know if you know that the young people say swoosh, swoosh, and we still say boom, boom.
Oh,
It's
really?
divided. Oh my God. But thank you and hello to your audience. I am Pepper Miller. I am a market researcher, and I help large companies understand Black people, basically. My focus in research has been doing what we call qualitative research. There's quantitative, which
Okay.
measures larger samples, and qualitative, which gets at the why, to understanding beliefs and behavior, which I love. So I've been doing that since 1995, even before that. I've written 3 Black Insights books. I am passionate about these brands and society understanding Black value, our value as a people, as well as our value in the market segment. It's what keeps me awake at night, Charles. It keeps me awake at night. So I've worked with a lot of companies like Procter and Gamble and Unilever and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Johnson and Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
Walgreens, um, Pfizer. You name it. I've probably done some type of research with some of these brands. So I'm
So what?
delighted to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation. Uh, we come from a very special group of people. We went to Lindblom Tech.
Yes,
First time, you had to pass an entrance exam to get into that school.
that's
It's,
right. That's
I
right.
mean, and we were the first ones to be turned loose on society after equal rights, and we went through Martin Luther King. What do you remember about that, Pepper?
Well, we were not the first Black group of students. There were some before us because when we got there in 19, there were
I was wondering, it's like, I'm gonna see if she gonna drop this date
there
out
were
there.
other
I was like,
there
no,
were
I'm not doing that.
no, no, there were other classes ahead of us. I think that when we got there, the graduating class that year, they were predominantly Black. So the
Mm,
school was becoming Black, but it was a great school. I mean, it was mandatory that we had 4 years of English and at least 3 years of math and 3 years of science. I remember we were taking biology and chemistry as sophomores and some as even freshmen.
right.
So I loved that school, and I think a great percentage of our classmates and those before us went on to college and also professional careers, doctors, lawyers, Indian
Yeah.
chiefs, people living in the Philippines doing a podcast on brand, having their own digital marketing company. I mean, really, we were a very different group of people, and we came from all over the city. Unlike most high
Yeah.
schools where people went to their high school in their neighborhood, we were from all over. So it was very interesting, really, really good school, really good prep, college prep. I'm delighted that I went there and had classmates like you. Really, really.
All of our classmates have made some sort of impact on society at some point or another. I followed some of them on social media.
And Lindblom is in Chicago, Illinois, by the way. I don't think we mentioned that. We were taking some things for granted. But go ahead, Charles. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what? I Googled it. Lindblom Technical High School is in Wikipedia, and it's the first research search results. So if people
Okay.
were to Google it, yeah, there's a whole lot of information on that high school.
Yes.
Um, and I've actually, just to let you know, I sent an invitation to the current location so that they will be able to look at this podcast if they so choose. And I will be placing this on my YouTube channel, the Ultimate Brand Design Channel. And
Okay.
what you type, yeah, because my career has progressed. Like I'm a brand strategist, digital marketing engineer, all that stuff. Been working in technology since Lindblom. Couldn't plane a piece of wood to save my life. And they put me, I'm serious. I went through 13 pieces of wood. He said, y'all, you can't do this.
In
Go
which
see your
shop?
count. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. But technology, they threw me in Robert Bednar's class, and I fell in love with technology.
Very
It's been
good.
it's been very good to me. So anyway, who's your most impactful teacher?
At
Go
Lindblom,
ahead.
it was
Yeah.
probably Mr. Collins, Powell Hatton Collins. He was our chemistry teacher. And I mean, it was so hard. I mean, I got a D minus with a red
Ooh.
circle around it. I really liked chemistry. With the electrons and neutrons and how they
Mhm.
work together, he was exciting and he was upbeat. And it was a little challenging to understand that, but I really liked it. I liked his teaching methods, and he went on to be a counselor,
Okay.
Mr. Collins. I really, really
I
liked him.
remember him.
And then I liked Cheryl Rutherford. Mrs. Rutherford was my geometry teacher. Now, I did well in geometry. She went on to be the principal, I think, years
Oh,
later
really?
after she left. But she was young. She wasn't that much older than us. If we were
Okay.
18, she might have been 22, 24. So we could go to her and talk to her, the young women, about definitely geometry, but also about our little love life, our boyfriends and what's going on with them. She was really a great listener at that. She was, because she was young, but just very, very well-rounded woman. And I
Okay.
think she's still alive today. I don't know about Mr. Collins, but they were wonderful teachers.
hmm So our next encounter, but we never crossed paths. You went to college, and I was looking back, and we both went to DePaul University. I was shocked. Where were you?
I was going at night, and I was in the both the regular college, and then I went through the School of New Learning. That's why you probably didn't see me,
Uh huh.
because that was a whole different uh, class. A lot of those classes were on the weekends, on Saturday morning, and that's where you got credit for your life experiences.
Oh, okay.
Because I went back later. I didn't go, right after high school. So it was a really, really good program. I really, really, really liked it.
Okay. So
And what
what
did
did
you
you?
major in, Charles?
I was in pre-engineering. I had to go there for an accelerated class for 3 years, physics, chemistry, calculus on a quarterly system. And then I was scheduled for 2 years to go to MIT. I made it those first 2 years. Burnt me out.
I understand.
Burnt that quarter system. That was when I recognized that there were some shortcomings to the African American education system. There was
Yeah.
this white boy in there, and he never studied. He was always talking about how he was working on his road runner. And I asked this guy, I say, man, I don't ever see you study anything. He said, I've had all these classes before. I'm just trying to raise my grade point average to go to the University of Florida. My father is a physicist out at Argonne National Laboratories. I said, okay, now I see. And
But
I
you had
was
physics at Lindblom, you had chemistry at Lindblom, you had algebra at Lindblom. Those were mandatory classes, Charles.
that was not the problem. The problem was calculus. You needed to know calculus to work in the physics lab and in the chemistry lab.
Well, but algebra trig, we had algebra trig and calculus our junior year, maybe
Wasn't
not.
good
I
enough.
had I had calculus, I had advanced, I had AP math, so I had the calculus
hmm
my senior year. So
hmm
I thought algebra trig and calculus went together in our junior year.
I just found myself in a calculus class learning the calculus. that they were talking about in physics.
Got
And
it.
so it's like, wow, this. Even my counselor said, "You sure you don't want to switch this up?" No, I was following my dad's advice. He said, "Be an engineer." But I really didn't know that I really loved computers. Once I got into computer, I left there after 2 years, went to city colleges, started learning computers, went through the CETA
Yeah,
program.
we need to do what we love. And our parents, um, it, they mean well for us, but I do
Yes.
think, we probably excel better when we do things that we love. But we should also listen to our parents too. But we should focus on things we love. I went to Spelman, which was a liberal arts college, and I was a
Okay.
business major, and that just did not work out for me.
Oh,
It
really?
just did
Okay.
not. I only was there a year. And I'm not saying it's not a good school, but that's not what I wanted. My parents wanted me to go to Spelman. It had this prestige.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
our history has had a tremendous impact on how we see ourselves and how we perceive how others see us. So it's always about, elevation, progress. You got to do, the 150% rule. You got to do better than us. You have to
Yes.
exceed. We have to break these stereotypes. So go to
Yes.
Spelman. And I became the stereotype. I became a statistic. So it didn't work out for me. And I took a long way around to get where I am, but I'm happy where I am today.
So how did you make that transition to figure out what you wanted to do and how to get there?
I didn't. It was just stumbling, stumbling, stumbling. I've always had been curious. I think little kids, many of us are curious. Why?
Right.
We ask questions. But I
Uh-huh.
was always deeply interested in the whys. I didn't want to take things for granted, even as a little kid. How do the clouds get up there? Why are they up there? How come that cloud is bigger than? I mean, I was always, always, always like that. And so I had an opportunity to work at an ad agency in my 20s. I started in the accounting department,
Mm-hmm.
but the advertising industry was very intriguing. All the emphasis was on the creative product. And because there
Yeah.
weren't a lot of Black people at this agency, it was J. Walter Thompson. There were 600 people at this agency and 60 Black people. They invited me, because I was pretty friendly, they invited me to a focus group, an internal focus group. And that's when
Okay.
I was hooked. Saw this moderator asking questions about a product and then showing us storyboards. Back then it was storyboards. And
Right.
how
Right.
did we like, how was this relevant to us? And I was hooked. I was hooked. And eventually started my own research company and started doing it, but couldn't get any general research work. I would show up in this brown skin and was told, we'll call you when we have something Black. And I was like, are you talking to me? And that happened over and over again. And luckily I got work
Wow.
with Soft Sheen, the hair care manufacturer.
Ooh.
I
Yeah.
got
Yeah. Yeah.
work from Burrell, at that time, one of the, and still is a leading Black ad agency. I got work from other Black agencies, Barbara Proctor, Chisholm Mingo. These Black agencies gave me work. And as I listened to Black people sharing the Black experience, it
Mm-hmm.
was not lining up with how marketers saw us and the advertising and messages that they were putting out to target against us. The Black agencies were doing a good job, but not
Mm-hmm.
the general market agencies. And that's when I started speaking and writing,
Mm-hmm.
articles, and eventually started writing books to help the industry understand us better.
Pepper, that's really interesting because, studying brands, there's a concept of talking about the culture,
Hmm.
creating a culture. And I think this would be a great breaking off point for about your writing and your book, Why Black Matters, and all the things that I've been watching your career. I've been watching you. I saw the video of you speaking. I said, this is fantastic because I believe that This has a bigger scope because African Americans need to take control of their image and how they're portrayed in the media. You got
Absolutely.
to go for it.
Absolutely. As I right now, I know you're in the Philippines, but we Black people are just under attack right now.
Wow.
It's crazy. Our history is under attack. They are attempting to erase our history, as you know. And in
Hmm.
some states, our history is gone. No Martin Luther King, no Malcolm X, no Rosa Parks. It's gone in some states. Talking about our history and whitewashing it and is becoming the norm in several southern states and for many politicians. The Supreme
Okay.
Court ruled recently or last year that using affirmative action for college enrollment was against the law. So that's gone. And after that happened, many companies started dismantling their DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion,
I
and
saw
belonging
that.
initiatives. They're, they're dismantling those things. So it's extremely unfortunate because while Black people speak English, we still have a different culture. Many brands don't understand that, so they roll us in with mainstream and say we'll reach them through mainstream. But yes, I speak English, but are you talking to me? Are you talking to me in an authentic way, a relevant way? Is there representation in their messages? Do I see myself? And does it resonate me? Does it motivate me to want to engage with your brand? Does it motivate me to feel better about myself and my culture? Does it motivate me um, to feel good about you and my culture? And so those are things that a lot of brands miss. It's a big misstep in many ways for many brands. But I keep pushing and keep pushing. But the Black marketing industry has been taking a lot of hits as a result of the erasure and the dismantling of DEIB. It's horrible, a horrible time.
Well, it's interesting. I'm gonna bring this up, and we're gonna continue. Once I got into video production and as part of digital marketing, I did a Google search on Black African American women, and the first results were appalling. They showed Black women in a very negative way.
Absolutely.
I saw that. I said, I don't believe this.
Good hair,
Then
bad hair. Same
it
thing.
was worse. It was worse.
Yeah, good
It
hair
was
is
worse.
straight hair, white women, bad hair is Black people with hair style like mine. I mean, and I do think some brands are trying to clean that up and deposit more positive images in the cyberspace. But it's
Okay.
terrible. It's terrible.
But you brought up an interesting point. When we were coming up, the gay community realized that they needed to take control of their imaging, and so they have made a lot of progress because they took control of it. How can African Americans do the same thing? Because, as you said, they're eliminating our history, they're trying to erase our culture, trying to absorb us into Americana. What can we do about it?
I think we are doing a lot about it. You might not see it in our communities, but the younger people are moving forward and being more, number one, apologetically Black, meaning that, they are not trying to conform to white standards of what beauty is, of what
Hmm.
their culture should be. They are they are wearing their hair the way they want to. I love there's an anchor on CBS this morning. It was a former athlete, Nate Burleson, and he wears braids. He's got his hair is lined, but he wears braids. He wears his hair, he takes the braids out, and maybe it's just a kind of a high top. It's faded around. I
Uh-huh.
mean, to see an anchor, a black man, to wear his hair like that on national television, that's being unapologetic. That's being unapologetic. Since George Floyd, we are seeing more Black people who are supporting Black businesses and supporting each other. I absolutely love it. And then there's this what we call this pockets of resistance.
Okay.
Just organization, groups of Black people who are celebrating their Blackness and celebrating their culture and supporting the Black community and speaking out against the injustices that are continuing to happen against Black people. But it's not this big George Floyd movement. It's just little things here, 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 and here. And if you connect the dots,
Uh-huh.
you will see that that helps us move forward. I wrote this book. Let me
Okay.
explain Black again.
Your turn. Yeah.
Exploring blind spots and Black insights for marketing and understanding Black culture and perspectives. I wrote it primarily for the business community, a lot of storytelling in there,
Mm-hmm.
for non-Black people, primarily. Secondarily, to your point, Charles, I wrote it for the Black community so that we can control the narrative. And
Right.
that's the buzzword in the Black community that's been happening about the importance of controlling the narrative. So um, we see online talk shows or groups of people,
Mm-hmm.
live podcasts like Club Shay Shay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so we
Uh,
see that, and really, he's bringing in people that we might not know that mainstream doesn't know, and some of it's raw, but it's real. I One of my favorite ones was Country Wayne. I didn't know who he was, but
mm-hmm.
I mean, he really talked about truth. He talked about responsibility as being a father of 10. I think he adopted five and he has five kids. He talked
Mm-hmm.
about being responsible. He talked about saving money. He talked about making money. I mean, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, there's just a lot of those shows that are going on. Anthony O'Neill, at the table with AO, he brings in people who have rags to riches stories for the most part. And
Yes.
these are Black people talking about, how they made it, how they overcome the odds, and their audiences are primarily for Black people. So it's all I we call them my good friend Joe Jackson and I, woman, we call them pockets of resistance that's happening in the Black community.
Okay.
Another person that talks about controlling the narrative is Datavio Samuels. He is the CEO of Revolt. It is a network platform with programming primarily designed for Black people. It was P Diddy was the owner. Now P Diddy has come under fire lately for
Mm-hmm.
sex
Okay.
trafficking and just molesting young men. It's just crazy.
Time out. Time out. Time out.
Yes.
Do you think? Okay, he owns ownership in that company. Do you think that's related to this public attack going on him right now?
No, I
You
no,
know
I
what I'm
don't.
saying? He's been brought
I
up for
think
sex
it's
trafficking,
related to
but because
who
of
he
his
is and what he's done in
power.
his past. I mean, people are coming out of the woodwork. I mean, Black people are coming out of the woodwork on these talk shows telling their stories about him. I don't think it's I'm sorry to hear all of this. I didn't want to think it was like white people coming down on Diddy. These are people, stars and celebrities, coming out now telling their stories about him. But Datavio is a God fearing man, and
Right,
he talks constantly about the need to control our narrative and control our messaging. And
right.
I This year, they've had, I think there was an article written about him and how their sales have been extremely well, advertising sales. They've done extremely well in spite of the negativity. But he's a God fearing man. So,
Pepper
but
your
I
foot.
love that he, for
Good.
years and years and years, has been
Okay.
talking about controlling the narrative. So I say all that to say we're doing it, Charles. We're coming together. Small pockets of resistance, small pockets of
Hmm.
organizing, small pockets of standing up for ourselves. We're getting it. We're getting it together, despite what Pookie and Ray Ray are doing out there, carjacking and shooting. Pookie and Ray Ray really just represent a small number of us. It does not represent the entire Black community like Candace Owens and some of the other
Ooh,
political
wait, yeah.
parties. They want to have this sweeping negative stereotype and impressions about us. Most of us, when we think about it, our people are good people. Our people are safe people. When you think about the Black people that you know, that you've been around,
Hmm.
we are not those negative things, not the majority of us. So that's controlling the narrative. The work that you're doing now with me is controlling the narrative. So
Yes.
we're getting there. We're getting there. That's a
J-
long answer.
No, no, no. It's ideal because when I came here. I didn't. I don't know if you've heard of the Passport Bros, about
I'm sorry?
African American Passport Bros.
No.
The Passport Bros is a concept of men leaving their home countries to find wives in other countries, specifically in the Asian community. So when I came over here, that was like I didn't know anything about it, but I saw that there was a story here in my other channel called the God Principles. What a lot of people may not realize is there's an organization here called Brothers in the Philippines. There are a bunch of African Americans over here that have left America, have successful marriages with people of
Why did you leave to go and not hook up with a sister, a Black woman?
I tried that, it didn't work. I tried that several times, a couple of times. But it's also part of my spiritual journey. You see, if you notice, it's the God principles. I've been led on a spiritual journey as a part of my life, and that channel documents that how I came here and a whole lot of other things that happened in my life. And I would, just to see that it's not a coincidence that you and I are sitting here.
No.
It's just not. It's just not. And so I just try to live my life as spiritually aligned as I possibly can. And I leave the rest in the hand of a power greater than me that I like to call God.
Okay.
So what do you think?
About.
How your thought leadership is going to be influencing people in the future? Because right now, what we're working on is working on legacy.
And
This
that's
will be our life.
exactly what I'm leaving with my books and my work, things that are published online, my comments, videos. It's a legacy. It's very, very foundational, the things that I talk about.
Hmm.
I've noticed that we get away from these foundations, but we ultimately, whatever it is, even direction, messages, teachings from our parents, we may go out there, but we eventually have to come back to them. And
True.
so that's my legacy, is understanding again our value as a people, as well as our value in the market segment. For me, it's less about you need to target us. It's more about you need to understand us. And so,
Okay.
that's
All
kind
right.
of where I am. And
Well, go ahead.
go go ahead.
Because I want us to start looking to project into the future. Some of the things on the technology front, video content, and artificial intelligence And the fact that YouTube is the leading platform, what do you see playing out?
Well, I, I mean, black people are, I mean, people are all over the internet and using all of these tools. It's been wonderful. It's been horrible because there's a lot of fake news and information that's out there. So it's just going to continue to grow, Charles, and get stronger. I think we have to use more discernment in terms of what we're hearing and what we're listening. I think we if something sounds a little off or if it's some new news that you haven't heard before, I think we should challenge some of these statements, even have people challenge me. My work is well researched. I'm not talking shooting from the hip about what
Mm-hmm,
happened to
mm-hmm.
me in my neighborhood. I'm talking about my collective research work as well as research from other companies that have done research on Black people, for example. So I think we do need to challenge some of the talking heads a little bit more as we move forward.
Absolutely, because you brought up an interesting point: controlling the narrative. The narrative that's being portrayed on the internet will
Mhm.
influence our perception of us now and in the future.
Yeah, and it's
That was
coming
one of the
now
things.
from everywhere, from Russia, they're I mean, they're creating this fake news. We've got politicians doing it. Um, I, the politicians that, for example, that are erasing our history and then saying things like woke is anti-white, for example. The term woke was created by the Black community. It goes as far
Mm-hmm,
back as the
mm-hmm.
1920s and the 1930s. Then and now, it has always been about us as a Black community being aware of the injustices done to us and using our voices to speak out against that. And other groups, women, the LGBTQ community, have adopted this woke mindset. Now, the fake news that some politicians are saying is that woke is anti white, anti flag, anti American, and it is not. And so that scares our white counterparts, our white colleagues, our
Mm-hmm,
white
mm-hmm.
brothers and sisters. It frightens them, and so many of them have jumped on the bandwagon instead of looking up woke and what it really means. Even in the dictionary, it is that truth. It is not what these politicians are saying. So that's an example too of controlling the narrative. That's an example too of challenging some of the things that you hear. When Black people in particular talk about the desire for equality and we want to be treated equally, we're not grabbing power. We're not talking about taking power away from people, but we're talking about being equal and being respected. Some politicians and some non-Black people say that's racist. They say that's anti-American, anti-flag, and anti-white. So, it's just a constant struggle, a constant fight. It's exhausting. It's exhausting being Black in America. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Now,
I love it. I love that. I'm not ashamed of being Black. I'm proud to be a Black woman, but it is exhausting having to go through all of these changes and try to counter these negative messages that are out there about us.
it's interesting that you brought that up, but I don't think it's unique because over here where I am, I associate with a lot of different nationalities, and
Okay.
they say they don't really understand racism because it's not a part of their culture. They're Australians, Denmark, Nova Scotia. They say they don't understand that because they've never experienced. However, they are all over here because of the pressures and control going on inside their own countries. And when I look at that, what they tell me, I see the similarities of
What
why they
kind of
left.
pressures are they experiencing? I mean, Yeah, Australians, when they talk about racism, because there's racism against the Aborigines people, people who look like us. Um, I mean that's that fight. But you brought up a good point. They haven't experienced racism, and those are Scandinavia, Denmark, Australia, very very white countries. So they have the power, they have the privilege, they are in charge. But I wonder how people who don't look like them are treated and how they are perceived.
Well, what I'm
That
seeing
might be a
is
whole
that
nother thing.
it might be, but the thing that stood out to me is those Scandinavian, Caucasian countries. Those countries are under more control. They are more controlled, like socialism and communism. They have systematic controls as a part of their government that some of them have to lay low over here because they don't want their home countries to find out that they're here and thriving because they'll send somebody over here to investigate them. Just like communism. It's
Got it.
like I
And
didn't.
yeah, we're heading there too. If we don't vote and get our act together, we will lose our democracy. Will be gone as well.
Well, is it really a democracy or a capitalistic system posing as democracy? I really don't know. I say,
Both.
which one
I like
lean
that.
to?
It is we do have a capitalistic society, but also there's certain freedoms that we have that comes with being a democracy. I Oprah Winfrey talks about how grateful she is, even though we're disappointed in some of the things that happen in America, but how grateful she is and I am to be a free Black woman in America that have my own business and that can write books about Black value and that can be on a podcast with my fellow classmate in another who lives in another country talking about this that can be posted on YouTube. Some that is my understanding of what a democracy is. These freedoms to do things like that. And so if we're not careful, we can lose some of those freedoms. I mean, they're already if they're by erasing our history, that means I cannot have a multicultural workshop in a corporation. That's what that means, and that's starting now. That's starting to lose some of these freedoms of choice and opportunities, and being able to, when we talk about the freedom of speech, not being able to share Black insights at corporations or conferences or in certain states. It's crazy, but that's where we are now here in America. So that's what a democracy means to me. It's about having particular freedoms to do
Hmm.
those things. Free Black woman in America, talking about Black people, writing books, speaking about things at conferences, that all can go away. And we're starting to chip at that as we dismantle um, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, as we erase affirmative action. Affirmative action was never about putting unqualified people into relevant positions. It was never
Hmm.
about that. It was always about providing equality, putting equally qualified people in these positions, and oftentimes even more qualified. Come on, Charles, well, you've been in a room full of people who didn't look like you, and you were more qualified than them. You had better ideas than them. You had ideas when they didn't have any. I've been in these rooms and where I was intimidated and initially intimidated, but when I started hearing these people speak, I'm like, oh my God, what are they talking about? This is crazy. Just, nothing that was researched, nothing that was in depth, no insight into the problem, no solution. I have been in those meetings. I have been looked over to have people like that present these meetings. It happens all the time. So, that's where we're headed. if we don't come together more, if we don't stand up, if we don't vote for candidates that understand um, what democracy means to us.
Okay, Pepper, you just
I know
touched
we
on
don't
the
want to get
subject.
onto politics things, so we'll move
No,
on.
no, 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 no. Politics is fine. This like this. This is my channel, the Ultimate Brand Design channel, and these are the topics that we need to look at
Charles,
because I work for a nonprofit in Wisconsin before I came here
you know
that
you
was
are
in the political.
freezing up, Charles.
So are you. That has to do with the internet. Do not worry about it. It
So
is
you're going to go back.
recorded.
You're going to edit all of this, right?
Well, see, what happens is, just to let you know, that's why I chose this new product. It's actually recording the actual imagery and voices on your local device. If you
Okay.
look carefully, if you look up there, it's actually going to upload it native from your device. So the stuff we're seeing right now, when I get it, it's going to be pristine clear. Don't
I
even worry
know,
about it.
but aren't you going to edit this, Charles?
Yes. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
All right.
You know, yeah, I'm gonna break this down into segments and topics that will come up on YouTube on my YouTube channel.
Got it.
Just fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But I wanted to bring this up. You were talking about we were part of the affirmative action movement, and I've been in them corporate rooms you were talking about. And the
Yes.
one thing that surprised me was when I walked through that door of affirmative action and actually broke through the corporate ceiling, they showed me a movie called Workforce 2000. And this was a movie where they said that in order for the American economy to continue, they were going to have to open the doors to minorities and women. They particularly targeted women because women felt they were oppressed. If you remember, there was a time when you wouldn't see a woman climbing a telephone pole or
That's
any of
right.
these other. So that was a part of a bigger plan by the corporations and America. And they actually played on the fact that we were oppressed and we wanted to prove ourselves. And the sad thing about it is, we walk through the doors, and I've been in meetings with 600 people deciding, making technological decisions for the internet, and I was the only African American man.
Of course. There's so many of us, even young people today, that talk about being the first or the only one or
Yeah.
one of the few. I mean, that continues to happen. So we're breaking through. But what others don't realize is, we still need mentorship. We need two mentors, one that looks like us and one that doesn't look like us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to help us navigate corporate landscapes, people not understanding our culture, um, in terms of how they speak to us and about us. I mean, these things are still going on and on. And if we speak up and say something, it's like you're too sensitive, or you are anti-white, or you are the racist. I mean, I've had those things said to me over and over and over again. It's crazy.
Have you
So,
heard of Dr. Myron Golden?
controlling the narrative, taking care of ourselves, coming together. I mean, it's a must. I mean, it's an imperative. We have to do it. It's an unspoken obligation. It really is.
I'm waiting for you to catch up. Just hold on, because I
Okay.
can't, I can't, I can't hear you. So, did you hear what I said? Have you heard of Dr. Myron Golden?
No.
He has applied spiritual concepts to marketing and stuff. And we're saying, I don't need to knock on those corporate doors anymore. We now have the power to control our narrative, our what we can earn. We don't need them anymore. We have the knowledge and the skills. Like, look at me. I'm sitting here in the Philippines creating a YouTube channel based on brand design on the things that I've learned, and another one showing African Americans being, we're really successful over here. Pepper, oh my God. That
Really?
people don't, yeah, really, really. I mean, millionaires, they, African American men. There's a guy came here. He was a air. He worked for the Navy. He was a pilot. He got hurt. He married a Filipino woman, and they said, "Well, you know, he's getting disability." He said, "But we need something to do." He's in the mall, and he noticed he didn't like the lemonade that they made in the mall. So him and his wife decided to create their own lemonade. They are millionaires today. They
Wow.
own all the lemonade stands in the malls in the Philippines. And there
Wow.
are a lot, right, there are a lot of stories when we step out of America and we don't have those obstacles to our ideas. We just, I mean, we just do phenomenal things over here. I mean, there's a brother here, his mother actually, you know, Uno's Pizzeria,
Yes.
her son is over here. And they
Oh,
have a pizza joint based on Uno Pizzeria. It's real popular because
all
they don't
right.
know how to do this.
The pizza is good.
Oh my goodness. Chicago deep dish pizza. And they in my subdivision, and I can call them and they deliver to the door.
All right. All right. Very good. Very good.
So we now have the ability to control our financial success because the democratization of the internet makes it possible for anyone to do what I'm doing. It's
Right.
really that easy. So I'm trying to provide some leadership in that area, uh, how to do strategies and build these type of businesses, and that's the best I can do. Because my thing is, I have one son, 12 grandchildren,
Oh, wow.
two yeah, yeah, it's like a couple of great grandchildren, and I have other stories about knowing where you came from. I'm my great great grandfather came here in 1816, and they freed him. So my mindset is a bit different. It didn't really come through. My family's not been
When you say
absorbed by.
came here, you mean came to the Philippines or came to America? The
Came to
Americans,
America.
yeah, the
He
Americans in
came
1816. Okay.
right. He was on a plantation, and the house caught a fire. He set the master's life free out the fire, and they set him free. My family's never been through that slavery and doctrination. So, you know, it's all playing out in a very positive way. Pepper,
Yes.
anything you want to leave us with? We've been going this. I'm looking at my clock here. We've been going. Ooh, it says 54 minutes. It's actually uh,
54 minutes. Yeah.
so it's actually just after midnight over here, 12:55.
Oh my goodness.
I'm 13 hours.
About the
No, it's
time.
okay.
I forgot about the time zone. Thank you, Charles.
I do this all the time. I love what I do.
Oh, good
I,
for you.
there's a Japanese concept called ikigai, and it says if you find something you love to do, you should do it to the day you die. Because these Asians over here, I've been very into Asian culture since I was young, and we're seeing that it's best to have something that you love to do.
And you like living in the Philippines? You're not coming back to America?
Not coming back. Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. I came over here August of 2022 to meet the woman that I had been talking to during COVID. Thought we were going to get married. I came home, sold everything, came back immediately because I said, no, I got to leave. We decompress over here. Like you talk about what's happening there, we feel the difference. It's really different when you can go into a store and they say, "Good morning, sir. How are you?"
Wow.
You, I mean, the it's really emotional, really is, because we see how broken we are on the inside. We see
Yeah.
how we see how broken it. I talk about this. I say you come over here, and they're going to pour love in your spirit, and you're going to say, "What's happening to me?" It's like it's a very spiritually uplifting experience. I've heard people talk about having to go back to America, sitting on the plane crying that they had to go back.
Right. Where
It's
in the
that.
Philippines do you live, Charles?
I live in Cebu, Philippines.
Cebu?
Uh huh.
How do you spell that?
Sure. C is in Charles, E is in Edward, B is in Baker, U is in understand.
Got it.
I live in Basewater subdivision. Um, it's really a God gift to me. It really is. Imagine I got a 2 bedroom, 2 bath townhouse, fully furnished, in a gated subdivision with a pool, a store, and a clubhouse for the equivalent of 275 US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't drive anymore. I have a chauffeur. It is, that's the thing people don't understand. The cost of living is so dramatically different. You don't have the pressure of trying to make bills. I got, I got my housekeeper gonna be here Saturday, clean up the house. I mean, on a spiritual level, we left all this stuff behind. And my friend William, and he shared this story, and I think when and he say, when you let go of something for God, He always has a ram in the bush.
Mm. The ram
So
in the bush. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. I like
yeah. We left America thinking we was leaving all that behind, because he and I have a spiritual connection, and he's actually an ordained minister. He is we're both from recovery, and he's a counselor. And he said, God led us here. It's like he said, Jesus will send you out two by two, and he and I met here, and we've been rolling with it. We've been rolling with it.
Wow, wow. That's a whole nother recovery. I had family members in recovery, and I was thinking about that today, a member of Al-Anon. And
Thinking of
Al-Anon is nothing,
froze.
not nothing. It's really not about the addicted person. It's about us. I am so grateful for Al-Anon. I don't know what to do. I'm so grateful.
What do you know about Al-Anon?
Because I had a family member who was using, and I went to Al-Anon, and I I mean, I was, oh my, it helped me so much to look at me and my motives and what I was doing. And it's less about that person. It was about me. Oh my
Mm,
goodness. It was
yep.
powerful, powerful,
Yes.
powerful, powerful. And that was 30 something years ago, and my family
Ooh.
member, they've been sober for 30 something years. But I went to Al Anon probably consistently for maybe half of that time, 10 or 15 years. And I was thinking today, I should probably go to a meeting just to show up. I'm not feeling stressed out or anything, a little worried about this DEI stuff, but to maybe go and help someone else. I don't know. But those Al Anon principles, those steps are in me. I believe God lives in me. I believe God lives in me, but I didn't have any kind of relationship with God. I was raised Episcopalian. We went to church and
Ooh wee.
helped in the church, but I did not have this concept of God until I went to Al-Anon. Until I went to Al-Anon, because they talked
Pepper.
about believing in something
Listen
greater than
carefully.
yourself and believing in a higher
Remember, I
power.
said
And
I wanted our discussion.
wow. And so that was I am always grateful to the alcoholic and addict in my life for that. When I heard somebody in Al-Anon say that, I was like, that person is crazy. But it led me to something better for myself. So I love Al-Anon. It's always in my heart. Always in my heart.
Why did you go?
I thought I was supporting the alcoholic and addict,
Uh
and
huh.
I stayed for me. I went for him and stayed for me. I did.
When
I thought they were, and I was horrible when I went to Al-Anon. I was a horrible Al-Anon person early on. I was like, this is bullshit. We need to be talking about getting these people out of our lives. People get married, you need to get divorced, you need to it was I was horrible, horrible, horrible. And they just and I just and they would say, keep coming back. Just keep coming back.
yes,
And then I started I love the topics. So there were topic meetings, and you could talk about the topics were mostly related to how you were feeling, sad, depressed,
yeah,
over
yeah,
anxious. And so you pick a topic, and we would read the leader of the meeting, and everybody has a chance to lead the meetings. They would call on people to read some pages, and the work, the information, the pages are written in first person. So it's like when I first came to Al-Anon, I did this. I mean, and you could see your life and your behavior. And sometimes not we wouldn't even make it through the
thank you,
passage
God.
that we were reading. We were crying, and that was brilliant how it was written in first person so that it brings you into the story and not, oh, that's not me. It's when I come to Al-Anon, when I am angry, when I shoot my mouth off, when I am mean, it's humbling, broke me down in such a wonderful, wonderful way that I knew that God here was speaking to me. And so I eventually ended up at a social justice church, Trinity United Church of Christ. Um, and it is a wonderful church because it's the how I see Jesus is an advocate for truth, an advocate for inclusion. um he was a rebel, and that's me.
Yes,
I'm social justice minded. I'm not anti-gay. I'm not about bringing in gay people. I'm not anti-women preaching. Some of these churches I couldn't get with, but I love my church for that.
yeah,
I mean, they're doing things in the community to bring in stores and housing, and that's what I'm talking about. And our pastor, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III, speaks truth. Oh my God, he's not afraid to tell the truth. He's the first pastor ever that I've heard that talked about the importance of loving, including gay people in our lives and in the church.
yes,
He talked about if you are kicking your child out of your house because they're gay, that's Jesus wouldn't do that. Jesus, I mean, so he says things like that. If some people are telling you that, that's not love. And people talk about we could love the gay people over there. No, you love them right here. And you learn to understand them, that they are different but not deficient. I heard that in that church. And I use that message even for my work. Black people are different but not deficient. We're not deficient, we're different. We got a different culture, different history. US born black people, different lens in terms of how we
uh,
see ourselves and how we perceive how others see us. We are different. And that's how I see Jesus Christ, as a social justice advocate. And not all churches see him like that. I mean, they were hanging black people in the name of Jesus. They were killing black people, and
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, he was not that. He wasn't that dude. He was not. So, and I ladder all of that back up to Al-Anon, because it helped me see me, help me go deep, and have a relationship with my higher power that I choose to call God, who I believe lives in here, in here. So
Yes.
I'm like, I'm straight. And what it does too is to help me focus on gratitude. It's a big part of my happiness.
Yes.
I've taken a big hit with this DEI dismantling. It's like no work, Pepper, nope, no speaking, and nope, nope, nope. And I'm respected in the marketing industry. I'm a respected
Right.
person. I've been out here a long time, but we don't have any work for you. But I am grateful that I have a home, a house, that I'm speaking here with you, that I can pay my bills, I'm getting ready to go put my bike in the bike shop because it's getting ready to
Uh,
get warm. I'm so grateful for my health, mental and physically. So those are things that make me happy.
uh-huh.
And gratitude is also something that I learned in Al-Anon. Because you come
Yes.
in there talking about what you don't have and what's wrong with that Negro or that woman who's drinking. And there's so much to be grateful for. So um, that's my spiritual journey. Raised Episcopalian, worked in the church, did the rummage sales and all that, but still was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I figured
Go
it
ahead
out.
on, Pepper.
I
Go
figured it
ahead on, Pepper.
out. I figured it out. So,
Now,
Charles, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Pepper,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hold up, hold
Okay.
up. I'm gonna show you that this is not a coincidence.
Okay.
I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous.
Okay.
I've been working in the recovery field. I've been through that I've had that miracle. When we talk about when miracles happen, that's what put me here. I had to go through that journey in my life. I've been living it for a long time. That's why my other channel is called The God Principles, the principles of recovery. And I present it in storytelling and showing people how to live a different kind of life. How almost I got people in recovery watching me all over the world. That's
Oh,
why I'm doing this. It's
oh,
because it's like when I came into recovery, I didn't see nobody like me. They were all black and stuff, but at that stage in my life, it's like it's got to be something better than this. And I'm just living it one day at a time. Happiness is an inside job. I got it on my vision board up there. Open your mind to abundance. Practice gratitude. I got it on
that's
a vision
right.
board.
That's right. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
practice gratitude. I went through. My family member went through AA, and I'm glad the NA people, worked out for you. I found that AA was a little bit more spiritual than the NA, excuse me, than NA people, and there was a lot
Mm-hmm.
more sobriety. We were in this hospital when I first came to Al-Anon, and there was always an NA meeting going on downstairs, and we would
Mm-hmm.
go down and
Mm-hmm.
ask NA people to speak, and they they would not always want to come and speak at our meetings, but we never had a problem with the AA people, and the AA people talked. They talked a lot more, and I'm not saying this is true across the board. This was just our experience, but they talked a lot more about um, God and higher power and being
Mm-hmm.
prayerful, and there seemed to be a lot more humility. But that's not all AA people, and that doesn't mean that
Mm-hmm.
NA people don't do that either. I had some great NA
Hmm.
NA people too who were very spiritual. So I'm glad that that worked out for you. Good for you.
Well,
And keep coming
do,
back.
do you want this? I do. We have a online meeting, so I'm able to dial in but do this too. When I need to. Uh, I'm gonna make this a special segment. This recovery
Oh, sure,
segment.
sure, sure. You can put it on. I don't have a problem talking about Al-Anon. I didn't want to name my family member, but
Hey, no problem.
because that's their um what's the word?
Anonymity.
Exactly. Thank you. We have to be mindful about that. But
Yeah, that.
I love talking about Al-Anon and how it led me to. That's why I'm in that church where I am. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
when you look at it, the Bible are the principles, but the steps teach you how to live them.
That's right. And that
And
I'm
so,
That's right. That's right. And I wanted to
we,
learn how to live, to live better, having to admit. And even today, you have to think about, some of the things you got to do. You got to admit, some of your behaviors, and then you got to realize and ask for help. You come to believe that there's something greater that can help you. I mean, I love those first two or three steps,
yeah,
in the program. It teaches you how to live. Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
This has been a beautiful conversation and
I agree.
ended just the way I thought. It's like at the end, I wanted it to be something spiritual. Thank you, God. We got it.
Yeah, we
We
did.
got it.
Yeah, we did. I needed it too. I needed to say those words. I needed to have a conversation with you. So it was good. I appreciate it.
Hmm. If you want to hold on, I'm going to end the recording,
All
and we
right.
got to stay online. Got to stay online until it finish uploading.
No worries.